How's everybody doing this beautiful Wednesday hump day? I am so excited at episode 10 about to go down. And if you're watching this, it means you survived the Christmas holidays along with me. And I hope your holidays and Christmas were joyous. I had a great time. A lot of friends, family, food, gifts. And in fact, I was so good. I got 3 lumps of coal this year. So I must have been extra good. I'm thinking. I'm not real sure. But anyway, I really do hope you had a joyous holiday. And I am looking forward to relaxing, obviously, coming into the end of 2023. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience, you've been so good to us. We so appreciate you. And we're looking forward to the new year, 2024. We got a great lineup of guests coming. And we're even going to do a little something different. At times, we're going to go live remotely, hopefully at some events like author book signings, etc. And hopefully you'll get to meet even more indie authors, entertainers, and artists. So look forward to that coming in 2024. And I'm definitely ready to relax with this, the last show of 2023. I have my cocktail, a beautiful festive vodka and orange juice. Ooh. It's a little too much screw and not enough driver. I mixed it a little strong. But anyway, please, let's do a little quick housekeeping. Please follow, like, repost the shows. We love your support and getting the show out there, and growing the audience. You've been phenomenal so far, so please keep it up. Follow, like, hit the notification bell so you never miss a show. If you want to support the show, all show long, of course, we'll have the QR code up in the corner here. It'll take you straight to buymeacoffee.com. Cheap cup of coffee will support the show. We'd love to have your help to keep bringing you all these great guests on the show. And so please, and if you want to get crazy, you can support the show with some merch. We have some great merch. What do we have for you here? We got all kinds of things. The official Cocktails with Cav drinking glass, hats, coffee mugs, to-go coffee mugs. It's great stuff. You just check us out, please. And that QR code for the merch will take you straight to our merch page as well. So we'd appreciate your support, and we look forward to continuing to be able to bring you the shows. Well, enough of all of that. Please, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the stage the incredible author, our guest tonight, Mr. David Pipe. Oh, how you doing, David? Glad you could join us, coming to us live all the way from Hamburg, Germany. How are you, sir?
Thank you, George. Yeah, fine, thanks. It's not such nice weather around here, but everything's okay.
Oh, awesome. Well, man, I was excited to have you on, David. I've interacted with you a little on X, and just a great sense of humor, and I see you doing all kinds of things with your wife, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to have you on. I was really intrigued by your work that you have out, and but also on the personal side, I know you do a lot of things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you ended up in Hamburg and what you're into right now, so the viewers and potential readers can get to know you some.
Yeah, I came to Hamburg in 1984. I studied chemistry. I did a PhD at Imperial College, and I did a couple of postdocs. I'd been living in South Africa, and I was married to a South African girl at that time. And we were living in the UK, and she wasn't very happy in the UK, so I was looking for a job in Europe and outside of the UK. And something came up in Hamburg. So I changed from pharmaceutical research and went into the lubricants industry. essentially.
Wow.
So I joined Texaco in Hamburg.
So you've you kind of ran the gamut.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And you just decided to stay in Hamburg.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the marriage broke up some years ago, and I'm now married to a German girl.
Yeah, that's my first wife. I lived in Germany myself, and those German girls are wonderful.
Yeah, so I came over in 1984 and joined the lubricants industry, and eventually got involved in industrial politics. I was a member of an international trade organization, and eventually became president of this trade organization around 2008, when something serious happened. I had a stroke, and then I'd always wanted to write, and so I think that was a sort of big signal for me, to do what you want to do and not really what you think you need to do. And I'd always wanted to write, and so I had to find my way into the writing business. And,
it does give you a moment of pause and reflect, doesn't it?
Yeah. These are things that make you change direction.
Right.
And I had to learn that I wanted to write, and so I had to learn the writing business. And I tried all kinds of different things with online systems and modal systems where you get sort of 24 different projects that you have to work on. But I really only wanted to write novels. And so I eventually found my way into it. I think the best thing I did was reading Stephen King's On Writing, and that gave me the kick to find my way into writing. And he works on the basis of always asking the question, what would happen if?
Right.
What would happen if? And I've been on a bike tour. I've got loads of notebooks where I've written all kinds of things down which I might use for a story, but I've been on a bike trip in England, and when my mother was still alive, and I went and visited her for a while, and then did a bike trip. And then on the last night of my bike trip, I'd done about 100 miles on the bike, and I went to a small village, and there was a folk festival there, and there weren't any rooms. I was just sort of looking for bed and breakfast on spec. And so they sent me to a farm about another 5 miles outside of the village, and the hostess was a really strange lady, and she invited me in, made tea, told me a complete life story, and her life essentially stopped when her son committed suicide. But she was really frightening. She was really frightening. So she told me this whole story, and I went down to the pub, back into the village, and had something to eat, and went back. And when I got back in, I pulled a large chest across the door so that she couldn't get in. She was really that scary. And then I thought I got a story, because I asked the question, what would happen if? And I said, what would happen if this lady kept travellers as prisoners, as a substitute for her son? And that was the beginning of the story. And I started mapping it out from there. And I'd lived in Cornwall, in the southwest of England for a while. Wild coastlands, moorland. And so I relocated the story to Cornwall and put it in a bed and breakfast place in Cornwall that was previously an old tin mine. It was the administration house of an old tin mine, and it had been converted into a bed and breakfast place. And she kept these young lads who were on bike tours prisoner in the workshops in the shaft of the tin mine, which ran out under the sea. And that's where the first story started.
Oh, and what was that?
Sorry?
Yeah, and so did you publish that work? Because that was
the beginning of Sacrificing Starlight.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of the works up you have available on Amazon.
Yeah, that's right.
That sounds like a heck of a story.
Because the guy who was traveling, who was taken prisoner, was put in the workshop in the old shaft, and he heard noises and he heard squeaks, and he thought the squeaks were rats and mice and things in the shaft, and they were actually small children.
Wow!
And these children were being kept prisoner, not by the lady of the house, but her husband was working for a pedophile organisation, and he was keeping the children there. And so Sacrificing Starlight became a story about breaking up a pedophile ring, and it started close to my home, where I met this strange lady, and then I just transported it to somewhere which was much more atmospheric, because Cornwall is a very wild landscape, and there are lots of these old mine shafts out on the moors where people can disappear. Old monasteries, where you could keep children prisoner and stuff like that. Wow. And so it became a criminal adventure with the main investigator trying to break down this pedophile ring, which was part of an international ring.
Oh.
And so that was the origin of getting into writing, and that was the basis of Sacrificing Starlight.
Well, I tell you what, that story sounds incredible, and it was an interesting scenario that was the impetus that turned into Sacrificing Starlight. It definitely sounds like a great read for sure. And I tell you what, the way you told the story had me a little on edge myself. I'm glad I have cocktails. That's why I should have cocktails with calves, some of this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. Well, I tell you, you're a really interesting guy from what I see on X and have interacted with you. You have a lot of great hobbies, and you do a lot of sponsorship work too, I believe, out of international sponsorship work.
Yeah, we've been going to Sri Lanka on holiday for a long time, and we go there for Ayurveda treatments. This classical Indian healing processes, and my wife was mainly interested, but we've been going there for 20, 25 years or so, and we go to an Ayurvedic clinic, and we always went over Christmas, and 1 year we decided, instead of going to Sri Lanka, we'd go to Australia. So we went to Western Australia, we went to Perth. We'd been to Australia a couple of times, but we hadn't been to Western Australia. And that was the year of the tsunami. That was the year that the whole of the southern coast of Sri Lanka was completely washed away with the tsunami. And we were in Perth, or just down the coast from Perth, when it happened. And there was a large, unusually large swell for the Australian West Coast. And we kept on getting messages from people asking if we were okay, because most people knew that we usually went to Sri Lanka. And that was when the tsunami completely washed away the south coast of Sri Lanka.
Wow.
When we eventually went back, we went back to the clinic, and there were lots of families who'd lost everything. And the doctor, the Ayurveda doctor who was treating us, who's a close friend of ours now, he'd set up a charity to support the children. Now, education is free in Sri Lanka, but the children need sports equipment and books and shoes and stuff like that. And he'd set up a charity to support the children. And we started by taking over one child, and we financed all of the extracurricular things that he needed for school. He was 5 at the time, and he's 19 now. And he's just finished his examinations, and he's got grade A in all of the subjects he took in examinations.
Wow! So you started with one child, and
now we have 7.
Is that him there? Good-looking young man.
You did it? Sorry.
Is that him there? That good-looking young man there? Is that your first child you talked about sponsoring?
I can't see what you're.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you could see the screen share behind us.
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm not sure there's a picture of him in the pictures I sent you.
Oh, okay.
But we now have 7, and we sponsor other projects. There's a group of children there that are holding packages, and they were all. So that's the young man. Yeah, that's Uvindu.
There it is.
Yeah.
You said he must have clicked off. Glad you can see it. Yeah, what's his name?
Uvindu.
Uvindu. That's And
he'd be about 8 or 9 there, but he's 19 now.
Oh, amazing!
And over the years, we've taken on more children, and we have a total of 7 children. But there's a group of children I sent a picture of. They had the opportunity to go to the public school, but they didn't have enough money to pay for the books and pencils and pens and stuff that they needed. And if they hadn't had that support, then they wouldn't have been able to go to the school. Now, this stuff costs something like $2
right
per child. It's not that it's an enormous amount of money, but it's being in a situation to be able to help. And we have this communication through Dr. Boudica, the Ayurveda doctor, and we send money regularly to him privately, and he makes sure that the children have all of the necessary things they need to go to school and for the sports equipment and stuff like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I tell you, maybe some other people can keep that in mind, that it doesn't take a whole lot of.
It's not a lot of money, no. It's very important for them.
Yeah, and it means a lot. I tell you, it's that's incredible, and not something I guess people think about every day. That really $2, like you said, would make the difference between 7 kids able to attend the school, and that's incredible work. And I tell you, you cook too, I believe you said. It's
that's
like
probably that's the big hobby.
Home of good food,
Yeah. It probably I've cooked for a long time, but it probably really got serious during the pandemic.
Right.
Because we would normally go out to eat quite a lot, and that wasn't possible during the pandemic because we had closed down here as well, and so I cook almost every evening. We've got a lot of my wife selects the recipes and tells me what I'm going to cook in the evening, goes out and buys the stuff, and then I cook in the evening.
Oh, that's wonderful stuff.
You've probably seen the pictures on X as well, no?
Yeah. It does. It piqued my interest. Like I said, here in New Orleans, we pride ourselves on food. That's for sure. Yeah. But well, God, thanks for telling us a lot about Sacrificing Starlight and the background of that incredible thriller story. And I knew your other work up on Amazon, I'd really like to talk about, because it just seems like such a touching story, is your work Henry's Tale. And God, by all means, please tell us a little bit about Henry's Tale.
Well, after I had the stroke, I was a week in hospital, and when I came out of hospital, I was pretty nervous about going back out on the street. And the first thing I did was I did one of these pilgrimages. I went down to France and walked across most of northern Spain, about 550 kilometers across northern Spain, from the French-Spanish border to Santiago de Compostela. It's a very famous pilgrimage. In English, it's called St. James Way. And then when I came back from that, my wife was working in Düsseldorf, so I was alone here. And she suggested we get a dog. And so we got a little puppy, and that was Henry. And
there he is, little Henry there. That's a picture of Henry as a pup.
and I had to go out with him, and that was the motivation for getting me out of the house and getting me out of the flat and getting me back onto the street and meeting people, because I had to meet dog trainers and vets and stuff like that. And he was the motivation for getting me back on my feet after the stroke. And so he was like a Buddha. He was the Buddha of border terriers. He didn't have anything he didn't have any hunting instinct. He didn't bark. He was a very gentle dog, and he was the motivation for. He was a very amusing dog, and so he was the motivation for writing Henry's tale. So I put him in a place where he could go to dog school, puppy school with his friends, and then he met some friends. An Irish Terrier, a Scottish Terrier, a Yorkshire Terrier, and he was his father, or his papa, Alan, idolized him, but his mama didn't like him at all. She didn't want a dog. And so the Terrier group took over the role of sorting out the relationship between Alan and Jenny, and that's really the beginning of the story of Henry's tale. It's about how dogs see the world and how dogs see relationships, and it's a tale of love and loyalty between a dog and his master, but it's told through the eyes and the voice of the dog.
That had to be interesting as a writer. Because we always talk about, coming up with the character perspectives and developing the character. I guess that had to be interesting as an author to have to develop everything from the dog's point of view.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not a plotter, and I don't do a lot of character. I actually don't do any character building. I'm a sort of seat of the pants writer, following on from Stephen King's method. So I don't plan anything, I don't plot anything, and I don't do any character building. I just sit down, and there's a blank page there, and I put a character on the page, or I put a dog on the page, and then I watch what they do. And then I write down what they do, and they actually write the story. I just write down what they're doing on the page, and so. It's what Stephen King says. He says, if I don't know what's going to happen on the next page, then the reader is never going to know. And I think that's the element of surprise that you get in writing that way. And that's the way I wrote both books. I wrote both books that way, without plotting, without doing any character building or whatever. And it just sort of panned out.
Let the story happen. Right?
Yeah.
And that's every author has their own methodology, and that's great, and especially in this little, in this touching book with Henry's tale and the dogs. Do we have a spoiler alert for Cocktails with Cab? Or what happens?
Well, his master and his girlfriend don't have a very good relationship, and so the terriers decide they have to work on that.
Right.
And it reaches a point where one of Henry's very best friends is an English bulldog, and he's been put out by his master. And he thinks that they've put him out because they're going on holiday, but they've actually emigrated. They've left England, they've gone to New Zealand. And so Bully is living in a park, and Henry's very unhappy at home. So the two of them decide that they're going to go on a trip. And they take the train down to London and go across London on get a taxi at Euston Station, go across London, and then get a taxi from the station down to Southend, where Bully has his family. And they go and visit Bully's family. And they do all of this on their own, without. They just latch on to people when they need to go through the ticket barrier, and they get all the way down to Southend.
And it does. That just sounds like a wonderful, heartwarming tale, you know?
Yeah. But he has to go back on his own because Bully decides to stay with his family. And so he has to go back to London and go across London and get a tube and then get on a train and get back up to where his home is. And that's pretty scary.
Yeah, I bet. God, it sounds like a wonderful tale. Definitely another good read. And is Henry still with you, or?
No, unfortunately, we had to let him go. He was nearly 15, and he became very ill in April of this year, and so we had to let him go.
Well, yeah, definitely. Henry. We already love Henry. As a character.
Yeah. That's very sad. That's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. They're always such members of the family, you know, when they're close. And well, have you had the urge to have another fine friend?
Well, we have one. Yeah, we have Blix now.
Oh, and I do believe you sent a picture of Blix. I think so. So this. Oh, there he is. Is that Blix, the successor to Henry?
Yeah. I don't know the picture, George, but Blix is the successor. Yeah.
Oh.
But he's a real terrier. He's quite different. You know, he bites and barks and does everything a terrier is supposed to do.
I gotcha. Well, he's definitely a cute successor to Henry, though.
Yeah.
Well, that is phenomenal. Well, David, I tell you what, I am just, I'm so glad you were able to come in and let the viewers get to know you, because I know, like I said, from being on X with you and seeing you, you're a fascinating guy and you do a lot of great things.
Thanks for the invitation, George.
Oh, no, I certainly appreciate it. And please, by all means, I think everybody can get to straight to both those great works with your author's page on Amazon, I believe.
Yeah, they're both on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay. Great. And I believe I said you couldn't see it, but right above us at the top of the screen, a picture of both your great works, Henry's Tale and Sacrificing Starlight, both available. And you can go directly to that QR code. It'll take you straight to David's author page on Amazon and where both works are located. And yeah, and by all means, I tell you, do you have anything else in the works, Dave?
I've got a work in progress. Yeah, I've got a serial killer, and he's incarcerated in a high security psychiatric clinic. But the murders are still taking place, and so we don't quite know how he's doing that at the moment.
How do you go from a touching tale like Henry's Tale to serial killers? How does that transition work?
Well, Sacrificing Starlight is more like the work in progress. I think Henry's Tale was a sort of deviation. I think the books I read are things like, I like reading the big storytellers like Hemingway and Garcia Marquez. But also Thomas Harris, Hannibal Lecter, that type of thing. Mo Hader, she's written several of these, fairly violent thrillers. But in the line of Hannibal Lecter, Thomas Harris, that's the sort of stuff I read.
Yeah, myself as well. I think I've mentioned it a couple of times on the shows that, you know, I'm very intrigued by the dark character and what drives them, you know?
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to me. But and hopefully the readers will find that fascinating in your stories. Again, David, I really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing with us and the viewers. And please, everybody, follow David on X. He's a great member of the X community and the writing community. He's at DFP Writer, right there on the screen for you. And so by all means, please go give him a follow. And definitely by all means, visit him on Amazon and also Barnes & Nobles, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Both your works are Henry's Tale and Sacrificing Starlight by David Pipe. Two wonderful reads I'm sure the viewers won't be disappointed in. But again, David, I really appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, thanks again, George.
All right, well, cheers from New Orleans and Hamburg, Germany.
Yeah.
David, again, I'll be seeing you around, buddy, and I appreciate you coming on so much.
Okay, thanks a lot, George.